Just takes a minute.
Looks like it started. Cool. So hey everyone, welcome to this week's Node Community Committee meeting. I'm covering for Tiriel, sort of. So if I miss anything or screw anything up, just let me know. Just going through, starting at the top. Well, we always go through the initiatives first, the initiatives and working groups. So are there any initiative or working groups that want to report back?
Adam, do you have something?
Yeah, I can give an update on badges. So the badges working group just had its first inaugural meeting literally right before we called in to this call. Yeah, it went really well. The team all called in. I'm going to synthesize all the meeting notes into the repo a little later. We got a number of action items. Had a lot of fun making sure we're all on the same page as far as project goals and next steps, and talked ideas for the first round of designs and getting this kind of illustration guide framework going. So we've got a lot more to talk about, but good motion on that front.
Nice.
Awesome. For internationalization, there's been a lot of great work being done by Zeke and Vanessa from Electron to pull in source content. We've been looking at the API documentation, pulling that in, getting the configuration set up with Crowdin, and starting to move towards getting content that we can translate. So that's been really awesome. That's the biggest update. There has been, what is the other stuff that's going on? We've got Vanessa and Zeke, and then we have we had kind of a interesting oversight that we're thinking about how to handle right now, which is, people are there are some translations that just don't make sense from, if we base everything off of one language like English. Some things just need to be sort of, generated natively. And so we're trying to figure out a way to do that. There's other good stuff going on. But primarily getting the configuration and all that stuff set up is going really well. So excited, pressing forward.
What's an example of the things that are causing problems?
You mean as far as translation?
Well, you're saying like some things need to be generated natively as opposed to.
Oh yeah. So
just understanding that.
Yeah. So that's rather in language than generated technically. I mean, it started with someone bringing up the point that not every translation, like if we have a source language that we're translating everything from, certain things might not come across clearly or even need to be translated from English in order to communicate something important, or a concept or whatever it is for the API documentation or that sort of thing. There's like phrases in English that probably won't translate well. And all that. So we're having to sort of consider how we're going to handle those things, because the pragmatic thing to do would be obviously have a base source of language and then translate into other localized languages from that. But that's not going to work 100% across the board. So we're going to have to figure out, and I think Zeke mentioned that Electron had dealt with this before, and he had some ideas about it, and a couple other people did, but it's still a very new conversation and something that we're going to have to take on and think about.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Were there any other initiatives that are here that would like to report?
For the user feedback initiative, I can just fill in for Dan. We did have a meeting I think last week with the representatives from the tooling teams. So I think
Michael, I believe Dan is, sorry to interrupt, I believe Dan is here.
Okay, right. We just need to promote him. Sorry. Okay. Yep. Let me do that. Okay. Sorry. Okay, Dan.
There he is.
Go ahead and give the update, Michael.
Sorry. Yeah. Go ahead. It's all yours. Oh, you said go. You said go ahead and give the update.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, sure. I was just going to say
I was trying to get in.
We had the meeting with representatives from tooling, people who develop tooling pieces like testing, NPM, and they raised some good areas where they're having pain points, and I think it was a good start of a conversation, which will carry on. But I just wanted to sort of report that we had that, and it was a good start.
Yep, and I'll add sort of the forward-looking part of that is. The next step with that group is to continue that dialogue. We got through about half of our questions, and there's so much more that we wanted to discover and discuss, and so that's great. We'll continue that in future user feedback sessions. Then this month we're going to turn our attention to enterprise group and inviting, distinguishing a bit from the enterprise advisory group. We're going to be inviting those folks, the enterprise advisory group, all into the public user feedback session, and other enterprise users, and we'll be organizing in next Friday's session, and at the end of the month we'll have a public session on enterprise use case. Please join.
Cool, sounds good. Okay, so one more check, just if there's any other initiatives that we should be covering.
Ahmed, did you already do the mentorship stuff?
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, actually, we've been doing lots of stuff about the mentorship. We have a meeting tomorrow with the mentors. I did invite around 30 mentors. It was a short notice, so I'm not sure how many will join, but hopefully like anything around 10 is good. And we have around 500 applications at the moment. So like there's good momentum on it has been shared on Twitter, and people start applying. So that's really good.
So is that 500 applications to be mentees or mentors or both?
Yeah, unfortunately we have around like 40 mentors, and the rest are mentees. So
Okay.
we're going to have to talk about tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly how to manage that. Like how we're going to
that's a really big response.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder, like with that number, yeah, I don't know. I'm sure you're already discussing it. I'm just thinking you might need alternative ideas as well to try and handle that level of interest.
Yeah. We'd love to have you tomorrow if you want to join the meeting, because that would be awesome.
I'll have to see if it, yeah. Okay.
What time is it tomorrow? I can throw it in the notes.
Actually, I have a post about it. Like, we're not sure. Someone requested to postpone it. I opened an issue with the meeting. I can share it on the link, but it's around tomorrow.
Great. Yeah, if you share the link, I will make sure it's in there.
This time or one hour earlier. Okay, I'll share it. Yeah, basically that's all.
Great. Okay. Okay. So I think that's all of the initiatives to check in on. So onto the items marked with CC agenda. The first item is issue 99 in the admin repo, the travel fund approval and being careful about funds available. Tracy, do you want to speak to this since you made the issue initially?
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's anything further on this one. We talked about this last time.
Right.
I just want to make sure that there aren't any questions regarding this. I know that there's other to-dos on that issue regarding just like better documentation. Let me see if
There was a couple of comments in the last day just about possibly having one person specifically focused on keeping track of the funds and where things are at.
That was kind of something I'd suggested earlier, and I do think that would be a great place for the community committee to step in.
Yeah, I mean, so the role as written is that it is both the requirement of us as well as the community management resources within the foundation to talk, because you don't, otherwise what you're saying is that people who are applying from the community would just be approved by someone within the foundation without oversight from us in the TSC or ComComm. So we wrote it in a way that the TSC and ComComm are empowered to do the approval, and then the people within the foundation on their side are supposed to be communicating around the funds tracking and the reimbursement. So there's responsibility on both sides.
Right. I was just thinking, like, one of the comments was, people make their requests, people and people from ComComm and TSC jump in and approve, but then it's unclear how it gets landed sometimes. And if we had somebody who was, basically took ownership to keep an eye on that and say, okay, yeah, this has enough approvals and it looks like we're within our budget, let's land it, that would actually help keep the process moving, rather than just having it be whoever happens to have time, right?
Yeah, I was also noticing maybe a distinction between it can be on us to be reviewing and approving the request, but that it would make sense to have somebody who is specifically focused on keeping that tally of where the budget's at. So maybe it's an everyone can approve, but there's still somebody who takes responsibility for watching the
and landing, I think, would be good to add to that, right? Like to say, yeah, okay, the tally looks good, and I'll land it so that they don't hang out there for a long time with, individuals have approved it and moved on, right?
Right, but then we would just need to make sure that that person has the capability of merging in the admin repo.
Right. That's why my first question was, does anybody from the community committee want to volunteer to do that? Because it's a good value add.
Oh, okay. That's what I'm sorry. I thought y'all are talking about someone within the foundation doing this.
No.
Because that's still, regardless, someone, at one, I don't think it's good to have a single person do that. Like, they could certainly champion it and have help. But then otherwise, like, you're stalled on a single person.
Yeah, like maybe it's not, yeah. I agree. Don't want to have that single person. I mean, it wouldn't be like other people couldn't land it, but like if we had somebody who kind of kept an eye on to make sure things didn't stay out for too long, right?
Yeah.
And Tracy, I think we still need and should expect someone on the foundation side who's responsible for that. Whether that's Mark today and that may shift. Having someone on our side that is the liaison there. I think this is a great idea.
Yeah, totally.
Something else that was mentioned last time is having like regular check-ins. So possibly, I'm just not sure if we've had that check-in yet, or if we've been able to present where the funds are at.
Yeah, that would be something that Tierney as chair. Sorry, I mean, I know Tierney is not here, but with the sort of administrative responsibilities, at least for the ComComm side, I would expect Tierney and Michael to be. Maybe we need to make that more explicit, or that someone else would take on that role. But
that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, that whole role would be somebody who sort of just keeps an eye on the fund and are the right things happening, not necessarily be the person who has to do all the landing and whatever, but if there isn't, can land things and yeah. I tag in with the treasurer. You're right. Something like treasurer. You're right.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing to have.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Jim, can you promote Aguirre to panelist?
Yeah, I think I have to do that.
Yeah, I don't think I'm able.
Okay.
Yeah. Do we have anyone who would like to volunteer to do some of this treasurer work, and then who should they follow up with, or how can? I'm also happy to volunteer. That I can definitely cover some of these administrative things if that's what we're looking for.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it'd be great.
So I'm happy to volunteer. I'm going to need to follow up with someone. Tracy, can I send you a message maybe?
Yeah, I was just going to volunteer that I cannot volunteer myself to do that role, but I am happy to teach.
Okay, I will follow up with you.
Yeah, we'll set up another phone call.
Cool.
Jem, if you'd like an extra pair of hands helping to manage that, let me know. I'd be happy to help.
Great.
Great. Okay, I will note this in 1 second.
Because I think we should probably just write up that, like, this is what you're going to be doing in that role, and then, you know, and I think sort of for the whole travel budget would be my feeling, right?
Okay. Writing notes and also sharing topics.
You're awesome, Jim.
Yep.
So I think we'll go to the next one then, if this one is good, is the issue 276 in the community committee. It was the ComComm membership call for feedback on the new definitions. And there was a lot of discussion that's been happening around that. Is there anyone in particular who would like to kind of... This is related to the discussions about what it takes to move from collaborator status to something of a member.
Yeah, I can speak to it for a moment, but it was more Olivia was owning it. I think Tyrell has also been very engaged.
Sure, I can speak.
So
I know Manil also has been doing a lot with it. So.
Yes, Manil as well, that's right. We haven't had a follow-up meeting. There was a mix-up with who was owning that, so I didn't realize that we didn't have anybody scheduling the next meeting. So we haven't moved any further with that discussion because there was so much involved with it that doing it asynchronously in the GitHub comments was challenging. So I would say watch out for us planning a next meeting on that, and we'll make sure that that's...
I thought it was scheduled for next week.
Oh, was it rescheduled? Well, is it on the calendar or is it in the comments that it was?
I see in, like, the title of 285 is now the 10th of April.
10th of April. Okay. Let's see.
The time has been revised a bit. There was a request in the comments to update the time on the calendar by about a half an hour.
Okay. Yeah, because this is the one thing I want to make sure is that we had the same challenge the last time where we had something scheduled, but it turned out that no one was actually able to like spearhead the meeting and the agenda, so the meeting didn't happen. So I'm sorry. What is the issue number on that again?
It was 285.
285. Okay. Apologies.
So yeah, what's the planned time? We can fix the calendar right now if that makes sense.
5:30 p.m. UTC.
Okay. Okay, you can move on. I will convert that 5:30 UTC to Eastern and see if I can get that right.
Okay, so takeaway there's another meeting coming.
Yeah.
Sounds
And thank
good.
you, Manil. I'm just saying for you owning, keeping that moving forward.
Awesome. Okay, so the next one is issue 201 in the community committee, define working group expectations and create boilerplate. And I think this was an issue that Dan started a few months ago.
Yes, though I don't know why it's popped up back to the top of the stack. I believe this comes from our discussion that I think is getting folded into this broader evolution of the community committee, how we evolve through the various stages, and a working group inside the Node.js project implies some delegation of authority. And there's that coming from the technical side of the house. We have that, I guess, in ComComm, though I don't feel like that the full implications of how delegated the authority and the decision making. There's autonomy is a better concept that I think encapsulates the working group. So you're autonomous. You're doing your thing, but you're I don't know that there's necessarily a need for example, user feedback to have any sort of, closed off authority to user feedback that, the community committee wouldn't have. So sorry, I don't have, no, Tracy says yes. Tracy, do you have any additional context that you want to share into that, or we just haven't had the opportunity to have the next step in those conversations to fold this in as well?
Yeah, I think it's more about just the exactly what you said, which is the aim is for autonomy and less control so much as ComComm members are really supposed to just be people who are enabling, sort of managers, enabling everyone else to get their work done. We're not leaders. We're helping facilitate other people doing awesome things, and sort of minimizing the admin overhead that they're having to do so they can just do that work. The working group, governance from the other parts of the project is likely what we would be doing if, compared to what we've already got written. But I think this is being torn apart in the membership meeting just because even that can be a bit overheady and unnecessary. But we want to make sure that people aren't, a lot of folks get really excited and they're doing great work and they step into the project and they are unaware that the work that they are doing has ramifications into other parts of the project, and not just ramifications, but also benefits. So as part of that, we just want to make sure that everyone who is affected by it is aware of that, and not sort of finding out down the road that someone didn't know that there was a dependency and their lives were affected by it. So we're trying to account for that as much as possible with as little process. So yeah, next week meeting.
So should we keep the CC label, CC agenda label on this?
Yeah, we probably should make a note in the issue just to say this is dependent upon the membership restructuring issue.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't say, close it because I'm sure people are very interested in the working group because it has a specific connotation.
Yeah, it looks like Tierney, when he bumped this, was just asking if there were any updates because it has been coming up in other spots. So,
I mean, you could take it off the agenda and then put it back on, and once.
Yeah.
It's whether you want it to come up every meeting or not. It's the.
I think there's so much work in the ComComm restructuring that this will be a secondary to that ComComm restructuring.
Okay, I'm just adding a note. Then we should just add a note to that issue and revisit it later.
Right? Should we actually remove the agenda item? It sounds like Dan, you think it's going to be that it'll be a while before we come back to it, right?
That's my opinion. Manil and Tracy, I'd love your feedback on that. But I think we have a lot of work to do that will precede this, our ability to go and revisit work groups.
Sounds like we're yes to taking the issue off for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay, so the next issue here is the issue 267 in the community committee, automate meeting participant history document.
Yeah, speaking of removing administration overhead, so there's been some very good action on this since last time. I got a very, very ugly code snippet up that proof of concept did this, just in my own personal GitHub, and then Wally took it and ran with it. And if you go to Node.js participants.info, you will actually see a live website that updates daily with participants reporting information. We're still looking for a sanctioned way to have this be part of the Node.js infrastructure, preferably as a subdomain. Have not gotten a lot of movement on that front, but the project itself is up and running, and I think Wally is interested in helping make it and continue improving it to best help this group. So just as a heads up, if you want your project added to this report dashboard, you can go find. I have a link to where it is, or it's hosted on my GitHub already. You add your repository to just a JSON file there, and make sure that your meetings directory follows the same model that ComComm or TSC follows. It's detailed in the README. And then you'll show up as a tab on here with participation history pulled directly from your meeting notes.
I might have missed part of that. So you said the README specifically has instructions on how to add?
Yeah, the README has instructions on how to add your own repo if you want it added to this dashboard. It's a very rough proof of concept, even though it's up and live, and there's lots of room for improvement. So welcoming contributions back, but it's there for us to use if needed. And if anybody has any inroads into somebody who can help get this on a subdomain, if we want it to live there, I would love that point in the right direction, since we haven't been getting a lot of traction on that in the ticket itself.
Right. So you have a ticket open in the build working group, is that?
We do not. If that's the avenue we should take, we can definitely do that.
Because it's, yeah, I mean, that's the team that would have to be involved. I know, like, so for example, coverage.nodejs.org and benchmarking.nodejs.org, they end up being like an SCP2. Well, actually, I think it's from the website. But anyway, it was worked through the build working group to get that done.
Cool. I can reach out to that working group and get that started.
One quick question. I'm looking at the list, say, for the Node TSC. How did you generate that first email list? Because there's some people there who aren't members of the TSC and are also not listed as ever having, or maybe it's that they attended once. Is that the?
So this is purely this is participation data, attendance data taken directly from the working group meeting notes. So anything underneath that second, or the section inside these semi-standard meeting notes called present, anything under that header, anything that looks like a GitHub handle will be added to this list.
Right.
Yeah. So
okay. So even if they're
GitHub handles, even if they're not members, it will show that there was participation at that meeting.
Okay, and even if they weren't in the invited list or something, because I see, for example, Bradley Mack, he's got one there. So maybe it's, I'm just looking, I thought I saw some columns where there were no checks at all.
No, there shouldn't be any columns where there are no checks. Everybody should have at least one place where they attended. And that's, again, this is proof of concept. I think there's utility here even in its current form, but being able to sort by number of meetings attended, or being able to name, or showing who is a member and who is not a member, features that can be added if we want it later. But even as it is, I think there's some utility we can get from it. Yeah,
I think this is really cool.
Yeah. Thanks, Adam. I would like to add some point on it. Do we need to move the repo in Node.js?
That's something that we can probably go over with the build working group. They probably would want it to live under the Node.js org if it does go on a subdomain. And we might want to make it better before it goes on a subdomain under the Node.js.
Yeah,
org,
like I would.
Because it is very rough right now.
Yeah.
It's yes. Like, hey, look, it works.
I'd say yes, but yeah, there's not necessarily a rush to do that. There's a few that, sort of in progress to get pulled in under the org, but.
I would, I think it's probably going to be easier to move the GitHub project than it is to, get a space on the domain.
Yeah, I'm happy to have it move. Happy to move it over if people want it in the GitHub org. I can do that later today.
Well, it takes a bit more. Like there's a few steps that it needs to have, like all the right governance, which isn't that much, but like the contributing and copyrights, and then there's like it needs to go to the TC/ComComm to just say, yeah, okay, we'll pull that in.
Okay, sweet.
But you might, like I said, I don't think there's a rush, but it is something to plan for at some point.
Yeah, I can at least get that process started.
Yeah.
The
action items.
What we did with the mentorship program, when we moved it, I opened an issue, and after that, I CC'd the ComComm and the TSC, and they handled it from there, actually.
Great. So just same suggestion for Adam. Cool. Okay, so I'll go to the next issue then. Issue 280 in the Community Committee, Initiatives for Node.js Community Chapters. And this one, Walid, this was your issue.
I actually created the issue. And so my initial thoughts about this was because I'm working with the Node.js school chapter in Lahore, Pakistan, and we are planning to arrange few talks in a university. So I just wanted to know if someone who is arranging a Node school or events or session, they can also represent the community committee from Node.js officially, because that's what's directly linked to having such talks and sessions. And Tirini also mentioned that we had some initiatives before, but they weren't that successful, or there were some issues maybe. So I just need the update from all the members, what they think about it, or is it even possible, or yep.
So is the question that you're looking for like a type of support to help with the events?
Not exactly, because we can manage like arranging the events, having the sessions, getting the audience. And right now we are working on building a new website for our local community. The good thing would be that when we present the community, it would be good if we can get feedbacks from them. Which would help us in like user feedback initiative. We can get we can share what community active issues are right now, like which also include like diversity and inclusivity issues. And we can also this can also become a channel from community committee to the general public users, or like it can also help in mentorship initiative. If someone can reach out to someone in Node school, and then they can coordinate. And so I think there are a lot of opportunities if Node school or if community have some chapters, some working groups in different places where in arranging such events or talks and sessions.
Okay, so I think what we've talked about before, and we'd actually closed this repo, and you totally tell me if I'm going in the wrong direction on this, is that this is sort of like we have a lot of meetups worldwide with Node. And Node School is a separate organization. It is not a part of the Node project. Though we've coordinated in the past because Node School is amazing. And it's actually, it's a part of why Node has been successful. But their governance is outside of the project. Do you want a place where like meetups from around the world can be listed on the project repo? So, and then like a place that you can file issues to help get support on like things that you're trying to do? Because the only challenge that we have there is looking like the meetups are an official part of the project instead of a communication medium for everyone who is like trying to help each other.
So I think it's more like a communication medium, but I think it would need a go-ahead or a green signal from the community committee and Node.js organization to like represent represent some working group of Node.js in those sessions.
Yeah. So then the next thing for me would say like, so are you saying that we should have like an events working group or like a team that
that helps those other chapters or people who are arranging some talks? They can just coordinate with them from which are like which is actual working group in a Node.js under Node.js org, and they can communicate about the content if they want some feedback.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think from a scope perspective, we would just want to make sure that we're not saying that the events are official, like sanctioned groups of Node, because it's very difficult for us as a group and even for a larger group to vet the events, the work that people are doing. So we want to make sure that that doesn't get misconstrued just because there's no way that we can do that, but still find a way to, help people find you and help get advice and, support you need. What are other thoughts on this?
Yeah, I have a few thoughts on this, if I can jump in. I think it might be useful for us to disentangle some of the concept that we've had in the past around events and aggregating events and giving people resources and potentially even expand on this. Because this very much is in line with one of the things that I'd hope would come out of the community committee, where local communities would get together and they'd coordinate and be a part of the broader whole of the community committee. So, I'd love to see, I'm going to use the word working group, a team, a working group that's, helping people like we're doing in mentorship, helping people organize local community. It's not necessarily focused on the events. It's focused on the organization of local community, finding community resources and, sharing techniques and content that works well across various communities.
Yeah, I absolutely. I totally agree. I just want to make sure that something I don't think that we should promise is that the community committee sanctions this particular organization somewhere in the world because it's very difficult for us infrastructure-wise to be able to do that.
Right. And so that's why I think something like a local group that is associated with the community committee would be better able to manage that. And like if it's the SF chapter and then those members are the organizers of SF Node, cool. We don't necessarily sanction SF Node the event, but we are working with the SF chapter in that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
So basically what I understood from this is basically you just have to find someone that is that has a connection. You actually, like you're an observer in the community committee, and you just can take it from there on your own. Like you don't have to represent Node itself, but you can help out, like grow the community.
Yeah, so I'd say like here we would want, action items from this that I can see would be a repo that reestablishes what we just said around exactly what you want. And then, we'll PR it, of course, and review for the scope that we can actually appropriately address within the project here. And then you would just be able to file issues and have conversations there where, you are seeking input about, the organization that you're running and how we can support you, right? With advice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Cool. Not to bike shed, but we would want a name for it. And then someone, I think, who is a member of the community committee can create the repo for you.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. So I would say, we need to maybe follow up with an email or something just so that we can get that going for you, unless anybody has any suggestions or objections.
Yeah, yes. Or we can even discuss this on the issue itself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Well, that was the last issue that we had today, unless anybody has anything else. There's also then the QA section. Do we have any questions from YouTube? I'm not able to see.
I'm gonna go look. I haven't logged
Yeah,
on.
I'm taking a quick look to see. I don't see any. I'm wondering how I would make sure I'm looking at the right thing though, because I'm not sure how I would add one. Look to see. I don't see any. I'm wondering how I would. Sorry. I don't see any comments there. I don't know if anybody else knows how you check the comments, but I'm on the page.
There's only one comment. Yeah.
Yeah, please make Node.js an excellent performance for the future. PHP is upgrading. Sounds great.
Questions.
Not so much a question. Yeah. Okay. Great. Well, we're a little bit early, but I don't have anything else.
Awesome.
Thanks for leading us, Jim.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Good job.
You are awesome.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye all.
Bye.
Thank y'all.
Everybody.
Bye.
See ya.
Yeah.